Today we're at Moon Township Hyundai to check out the least expensive car I've reviewed on the channel so far. I'm talking about the 2020 Hyundai Elantra. Its stickers at just under $20,000. This 2020 Hyundai Elantra SEL is finished in scarlet red pearl over a beige on beige interior. The Elantra comes in 6 trim levels: the SE, the SEL, the Value Pack, the Eco, the Limited, and the Sport. The SE starts at $19,000 and the Sport goes all the way up to $24,000 and tops out just around $26,000. There are also 3 engine options in the Elantra: a 1.4-liter turbo, a 2-liter normally aspirated, and a 1.6-liter turbo that puts out 201 horsepower, and it's only available in the Sport model. The Hyundai Elantra was redesigned in 2019, but for 2020 it has more standard features, but unfortunately it loses the manual transmission option in the sedan, and the CVT is now standard even on the base engine. Womp womp. As you can see, this vehicle comes with 16-inch alloy wheels, which is pretty nice for a base model car. This 2020 Elantra SEL stickers for $20,960, but is now on sale for $17,926. Now let's check out the interior. Here's the beige on beige interior. You can see this one has power windows, locks, and mirrors. Also, there's a cup holder in the door pocket. This does have the base audio system. You can see it does have all the safety features: blind spot monitoring, lane keeping assist, traction control. Instrument cluster is somewhat boring. As we scroll down to the steering wheel, you can see we have all the important buttons. The steering wheel is just rubberized. Center stack does look pretty nice with the 7-inch touchscreen, buttons for the radio, automatic climate control is nice on a car at this price point, and we all have the connectivity features we need. It does have some driving modes and a sport shift. Here's 2 more cup holders. Center armrest, pretty bland. And over to the passenger side. The seats look rather cheap, but they are pretty comfortable and supportive. I'll scroll across the top. Here we have vanity mirrors, but no map lights. We have a sunglass holder, 2 map lights in the center, and another vanity mirror on the passenger side. Now let's check out the rear passenger compartment. As you can see, the door panel looks pretty much the same as the driver's door panel. The rear seats do fold down, and there are 2 latch systems in the rear for car seats. This car will hold up to 5 adults. Here's a look at the passenger side. Both front seats are manually adjustable. Leather power seats are available in the Limited and the Sport model. Here's a look at the trunk. It holds 14.4 cubic feet of cargo. You can see the latches for the rear seats are back here to fold them down. And this vehicle is still equipped with a spare tire. This Elantra is powered by the 2-liter dual-overhead cam 16-valve 4-cylinder engine. It puts out 147 horsepower. It's also available with a 1.4-liter turbocharged engine that puts out 128 horsepower in the Eco, and in the Sport you can get a 1.6-liter turbo that puts out 201 horsepower. As you can see, most things are easily accessible: the airbox, the battery, the oil dipstick. Here you can see the emissions tag. The 2-liter is the base engine on the Elantra. Now we're going to check the car out on the hoist. As you can see, nothing too exciting going on with the exhaust, just one single tailpipe coming out the bottom, but I do like the black trim against a bright red finish. Coming up the side here, we can see those 16-inch alloy wheels wrapped in a 205/55/16 all-season tire. Here's a look at the rear shock and upper shock mount. This one does have disc brakes in the rear, single piston caliper, and this has a regular manual parking brake. Here's a look at the front strut assembly. And this has a single piston brake caliper up front as well. I do like the styling of the front end with the angular lights and the neat looking grille. Definitely an improvement over the previous generations. It does have brake vents there next to the fog lights. Now let's check out the undercarriage. This still uses a very cheap beam style rear suspension, which isn't really good for handling, but does cut costs substantially. It's just stamped steel, no aluminum back here. There's a pretty decent sized muffler. Here's the fuel tank, into another more restrictive mid-muffler, up to the catalytic converter. The front cross member is stamped steel along with the lower control arms. Here's a look at the inner and outer tie rod, sway bar end links. There's the axle joint there. There's the motor mount and the oil pan. Coming back through, there's the single piston front brake caliper. There's a shield up front, but you don't have to remove it to change the oil, which I thought was nice. There's the oil filter. There's the transmission pan. You see the oil drain plug is accessible without removing anything. Going back, there's the catalytic converter again and the mid-muffler. Back to the rear suspension. And out the tailpipe. Now we're ready to take it for a drive. As you can see, they're still using the same key fob from the 90s. This does have a key start. The higher trim levels do have a push button start. The 7-inch touchscreen does feature Apple CarPlay and Android Auto, which is nice, but I think pretty much every car has that now. The engine feels like it has a decent amount of torque, and it's not super buzzy. Seats are comfortable. The steering wheel's a nice size, all like I said before, it is rubberized. You can hear a little bit of wind noise and tire noise, even at lower speeds. Now I'm going to shift it into sport mode and see what kind of performance it has. Now let's take it through some turns. Here's a look at the backup camera. I like how it fills up the whole screen. Alright, so now we're inside the 2020 Hyundai Elantra. This one's powered by the 2-liter 4-cylinder engine. Puts out 147 horsepower, which isn't terrible for this small, light car. But if you opt for the higher trim levels, you could get a 1.6-liter turbo. Puts out 201 horsepower, which would obviously be more exciting to drive. And it would have a little bit stiffer suspension, lower profile tires, so it would handle better. But for 147 horsepower, 2-liter in this small car, It actually has plenty of pickup. I did notice it seems that the braking takes a little longer than I would expect from something this small and light, but the brakes are also smaller. So that would obviously make the car slow down a little slower. But the interior, not too shabby. The shifter knob feels nice in my hand, although it is a CVT transmission, which is my least favorite thing in the automotive world right now. But the center stack is nice. The 8-inch screen, big and bright, easy to use. It still has buttons for the radio, which I like. Not everything is integrated into the touchscreen. And the climate controls are separate from the radio controls, which is also nice. So it's got buttons and knobs for that, and that's digital, and it's dual zone, which is nice for a car at this price point. The cloth interior, it looks a little on the cheap side, but the seats are nicely bolstered, and they're grippy because they're cloth, not leather. So I can't complain about that. The steering wheel is just rubberized, no leather wrap on this model, but it does have all the essential buttons on the steering wheel itself. There's a decent amount of hard plastic in here, but the armrests are soft touch, and there's some material on the door panels, which is nice, and it has all your connectivity you would expect. Our 2020 has Android Auto and Apple CarPlay. So for the price point of this car being just under $20,000, you're getting a lot of safety features. It has lane keeping assist, blind spot monitoring, forward collision assist with automatic braking. So some of those features are options, on other makes and models. So for Hyundai to put all that stuff in here as standard equipment at this price point is pretty impressive. So I'm happy about that. But the colors of the interior, just kind of black and gray, a little bit subdued. There's a little bit of a chrome trim on the dash, which you saw in the walk around. But it does handle fairly decent for, a cheap economy car. And the fuel economy gets in the upper 30s on the highway, so that's nice. The greenhouse is easy to see out of. You got good visibility from the front and back end, out the sides and out the side mirrors. So all in all, I think Hyundai did a pretty good job on the redesign of one of their cheapest cars. So like I said, for about $20,000, I think they put together a pretty nice package. Definitely looks a lot nicer than the previous generation Elantra, so I do like the redesign of the exterior a lot. I obviously like that more than the interior. So that pretty much wraps up today's video of the 2020 Hyundai Elantra. If you're in the market for a relatively cheap new car, I would definitely check this one out. And with the 10-year, 100,000-mile warranty, it's hard to go wrong with Hyundai. They've definitely come a long way in the last few years. So I hope you enjoyed this video. Thanks for checking out my channel. Please subscribe if you haven't already. Be sure to follow me on Instagram. Check out my Facebook page. If you're looking for some Pittsburgh Views merchandise like this t-shirt I'm wearing, check out teespring.com. Have a great day.